Spoiler warning for the Pedestrian. First proposed in 2020, solved in 2024.
In my never-ending journey through the video game landscape, I recently found myself drawn to the puzzle game genre. I'm not totally unfamiliar with this neck of the gaming woods. I played Portal, but I've been digging into it more than I ever have before, and one of the treasures I dug up was the Pedestrian, a puzzle platformer that gives new meaning to the term 2.5D and one of the few good things to come out of the year 2020. In the Pedestrian, we are a stick figure from a sign, specifically this sign. You'd be forgiven in the first few levels for assuming this was more like a cinematic platformer with light puzzles giving way to beautiful cinematography, but that would be a mistake. This is a puzzle game first and a scenic route second. The Pedestrian central mechanic is as follows. There are levels, and these levels are cut up and scattered throughout a stage. Connections don't exist naturally, they must be made by the player. The game gives you a starting point and an exit. Your job is to plan the route. One more thing. Once you use a connection, it's permanent. Breaking that connection will reset every item in the puzzle back to its starting position. That includes you. Like all good puzzle games, this starts simple but allows for expanded complexity. Some levels require you to change the sign's layout partway through traversal. External objects like pipes, frames, and nails limit your ability to move the signs, forcing you to find workarounds. Some signs are even built with special properties. These have electrical connections which need to be hooked up to complete a circuit. The signs have internal mechanics as well. There's some very boingy trampolines, lasers do their thing, switches need to be activated in the right order to keep all elements moving in the player's favor and not smearing the player across the plastic. Rather violent for a stick figure game. And then there are the ones that cross the line. A mainstay of the Pedestrian are these hub puzzles. Each one requires a number of items to complete, and these items are found out in the field, so to speak. This wire spool lets the player connect electrical relays within a card, and somehow that connection works. Another are the green spray paints. A sign with paint on it won't reset when a connection breaks, but only certain signs can be painted, and usually only one at a time. There was something about this game that cracked the fault lines of my brain. Picture you're in the Talos Principle, but some fiend has chopped up the world, and now you have to figure out how to get it back together before you can even think about pointing a red laser at a red target. Maybe the reason the Pedestrian kills me is how much it relies on reasoning. Yes, that is a self-burn. My go-to puzzle-solving process involves a heavy amount of experimentation, but in the Pedestrian, I rarely knew how to start that process. It plays so differently from the usual fare that it proved a huge challenge. I spent several puzzles just sitting there, staring at the screen, mentally lining up and rearranging signs while my cat wondered if I was having a stroke. But at the end of every puzzle, I was met with the same lovely dopamine rush that comes from finding a solution. So that's how the Pedestrian works. But what about this so-called coolest puzzle? So the ending of a game, any game, is a great time to test the player on the mechanics they've learned. It brings everything together for one final showdown. Or in the case of puzzle games, one last puzzle. In the Talos Principle, the final level has you doing just about everything you've learned so far, but with Fortnite Storm catching up to you and two NPCs helping and hindering. The Pedestrian doesn't do that. Strictly by the signs, the final one looks like this. There is almost nothing here. A trampoline, a box, a key, an exit. No spray paints, no lasers, nothing else. But by the time you've gotten here, well, remember those hub puzzles we've been solving for the entire game? Well, each time we retrieved an item, we installed it on this bootleg Game Boy looking thing, and every installation generated a 3D appliance. Once the whole thing's assembled, we get this. I wish I'd played this game back in 2020, then I could have referenced it in my American Arcadia video. At this point, the player is able to control this hand. We don't know who this is, but they seem to have maybe invented stick figure technology, and maybe this is who's been making connections and moving the signs around, which would mean we've had a buddy the whole time. So now we have 3D movement in a 2D platformer. The two are not synchronous, so Trevor and Kovac still get that award. And it doesn't actually do much. As cool as it is to move freely through the halls, it really is just another way to transition between signs. We've been doing that all game. That is, until we get to the rooftops. Now, you have to understand my frame of mind here, okay? This is not an excuse. The Pedestrian walks you out onto this sunset. The whole game has beautiful scenery, but this is one of its best vistas, though not the best. We're walking along suspended bridges 1,000 feet in the air. The clouds are towering, the sun is setting. I was in appreciation mode, not observation mode. So when I made it to the radio tower and was presented with the strangely simple blueprint puzzle, I was immediately flummoxed. See, this platform is too high to reach. This box would give me enough height, but boxes can't be lifted. That's the catch. So I set about my usual way of assessing the scene, trying to find untested ideas, only to find nothing at all. There was nothing to move, no connections could be reached. I even tried placing the pedestrian on different blueprints, but she always appeared in the same place. This hadn't happened before. Not knowing what to do is one thing, being dead certain there was nothing I could do was another. But despite Mugsy's increasing concern about my well-being, I did get one clue. Each time I made a connection, I heard machinery working somewhere nearby. Nothing really looked different, but that owes more to my tunnel vision than the game's design, so I set off looking for the thing. I ran back across the bridge, then back again, kept looking for more blueprints. I knew I was missing something, but not... Oh, you have got to be kidding me. That's right, kids. Each connection made on the blueprints is matched by a brand new bridge in the real world. We are not just observing the puzzle, we are within the puzzle. We have become the pedestrian. Is this what it looks like from your perspective? The last stage is a work of genius. The new mechanic is you. See, each blueprint translates to a rooftop. If you look closely at the ground, you'll see the level is drawn on them, and the items, the box and the key, exist in both. I have to wonder if 2D and Top D's developers saw this. So the pedestrian can't lift the box, but that's not a problem for a human like ourselves. One connection, one movement, and our box is on a new level, and wouldn't you know it, what we do here happens there. The two perspectives are entangled. We can't unlock this gate, but the pedestrian can. We can find a key item, but we can't reach it. The pedestrian can reach it, but she can't bring it past this knockoff emancipation field. But that's just a drawing on cement. We can just step right over it. This puzzle was so incredibly subversive. It completely transformed the game we were playing into something with so many more possibilities that GLaDOS couldn't hope to test them all. And this one was the perfect tutorial for the new mechanic, leading the player from baffled to speechless to awed and ready for more. Oh, game's over. That's right. This first puzzle was also the last of its kind. The pedestrian goes nowhere else with the concept. We're done. That's pretty rough. As a finisher, it's great, but it also feels like a tutorial level, getting us ready for something bigger later on, which just never appears. It might be unfair for me to be disappointed in the pedestrian's ending, to feel like this concept was not given its due. Compared to the other puzzles, the Rooftops required more art assets and have more moving parts by a landslide. It had to have been very complicated to put together. I just feel the absence. The Pedestrian is a great game and a stellar addition to the puzzle genre. But that final puzzle is on the cusp of greatness. It deserves to be explored further, but unfortunately Skookum Games does not seem to be revving up for a sequel. Maybe it just isn't something they're interested in, which is, of course, their choice. I'll still be curious to see what they come up with next, but if they ever want to come back to the land of chalkboards, restroom signs, and absurdly beautiful 3D rendered backgrounds, I'm gonna be waiting for them. So, this was the start of a new series exploring the puzzle genre. A genre I feel has been unfairly neglected and which may feel intimidating or maybe just uninteresting to the average gamer. I was inspired to start this after realizing how often my favorite parts of RPGs, action games, and Metroidvanias are the puzzles I'm asked to solve to progress. So going forward, we'll be seeing one of these at least every other month. More if this new format and my day job allows. Let me know in the comments if you have any puzzle games you feel have done something special, are must-plays, or are just uniquely well made. For now, have a great day everyone, and thanks for playing. I'm sorry, where is everyone? If this was an apocalypse, why is it all so clean?